speaking of the Red Wings, we had quite a bit of news at the end of the day yesterday as Lucas Raymond signed look at the screen, 8-year, $8.075 million extension, 64.6 total contract number with Detroit. And why is this a big deal? Well, because we are looking at Lucas Raymond as a year ahead of Wyatt Johnston. And the comparables seem to be rather apropos, Wyatt has 1 year left on his ELC. But the real interesting thing is the numbers are almost identical. And we can show you that side by side. This is the first 2 seasons for each player. Now, Lucas Raymond's played 1 more year in the NHL, thus his extension, because he's out of his entry-level contract. And so he has the new extension. But Wyatt's first 2 years has a few more games played, 164 versus Raymond 156. Now, remember, Raymond played a 3rd year last year. We didn't include that. 56 goals for Wyatt versus 40 for Raymond. The points are 106 for Johnston versus 102. The plus minus is a staggering difference, but that's more of the team. That's plus 20 for Johnston, minus 49 for Raymond. What of those numbers really stand out to you as far as, is it just because they're so similar and that's going to tell you what dictates Wyatt Johnston's next contract?
Well, there's a couple things that stand out. And again, I'm taking the plus minus out of it because Detroit's team has sucked over the last couple of years, and that's just what it is. But you got the kids putting up those points on a team that sucks. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And Wyatt's putting up the points on a very good team.
Yeah.
I mean, isn't so
taking this year out of it, obviously.
So does that come into factor? Like when it comes to negotiating, say, yeah, we can use Raymond as a comparable, but he doesn't have the ammo around you that you do, Wyatt. Maybe you should be putting up more points. I don't know what they're going to do. I can't see him doing that because they're going to treat Wyatt with, golden gloves. They're because he's eventually going to be the pinnacle of this team.
I mean, we talked about Jamie Benn and what his future contract might look like a couple weeks ago, and it's timely, and I'm sure that Jim Nill hasn't been lost on him that contract comes off the books at the end of this season, right when Wyatt Johnston needs a huge payday. The only question I have is, would Wyatt Johnston, would the Stars try to do something like they did with Jason Robertson, which is a shorter bridge deal, or do they know, because Wyatt's only 21 and he's already been this good, that if he has another year like Lucas Raymond did, aka what Wyatt did this year, you might as well give him the 8-year if he can sign it.
I would think if you're management, that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
What about Wyatt and his agent?
I might be going the other way. I mean, again, are you betting on yourself?
Yeah, I mean, if you sign a 3-year, 4-year even, the number he would get at the end of that term for a long-term extension from there.
And remember, the cap keeps going up.
Would be huge.
So if you're the agent for Wyatt Johnston,
and when you said Jamie Benn's contract comes off, it doesn't. There's some dollars that come off.
It's just not maybe a lot of dollars.
Yeah. I mean, well, what I'm saying is he's getting another contract.
Yeah,
but it won't be at that same
number.
number.
It's not going to be at 9, but it could be at 5.
What you save in Jamie, you can probably turn towards Wyatt. And boost him up. Now it may not be all of it,
right?
But the question, I guess, for me is, do you think the Wyatt Johnston's representation, his agency, would they have any interest in a long-term deal? Because they know if you bet on him, if his progression continues. For example, if you're the Stars, do you try to sign him now? Because if he has, Luddy, what happens if Wyatt Johnston has 80 points this year, which he very well could? He led the team in scoring last year. Does his price tag right now go up if he has another good year like this?
I think they already know the number that they want him in, at least for, to get started. But you can't say that you're going to see Wyatt Johnston stumble here. I don't think any of us would think that. So again, if you're Jim Nill and you throw out the $65 to $70 million at Wyatt and his group, I would think his guys may say, Wyatt, I don't know. You might be better off taking 4 years or 3 or 4 years. It ultimately comes down to what, the group decides on. But again, I think this management group here has been really fair, and they're not trying to screw anybody. They're just trying to give you what they feel that they deserve. And I do think that there will be that conversation that says, maybe you could get a little bit more, but just remember, the more you leave over, we're trying to build a team here for you to win a cup and then another cup. And so I think that's kind of the talk with all the teams that are at the top all the time when you got your big dogs going up there to get some money. Leave a little bit on the table because we want to surround them, some other players with you guys.
Which is interesting to look even further at they also, both of those guys play almost every game. Wyatt's played 82 both years, and Raymond played 82, 74, 82. So that's also valuable, right?
Easy
Don't
to be
forget
durable
that.
when you're younger, but
Of course,
yes.
but playing 82
But
is not easy no matter what age you are.
Let me ask you this. Luddy just said this management group, talking about the Stars front office, has tried to be as fair as they can. Now, it's not just in the spirit of fair play, although that comes into a factor. It's also about making sure that one side doesn't win a negotiation by too much, because you don't want resentment from either side.
Right.
If the Stars feel they've overpaid, then they have to deal with the bad publicity and how it deals with having a player they feel is outperforming or underperforming to their contract.
Which they have a little bit of history
with. And if you do it the other way, you end up with something kind of like the John Klingberg contract, which was great business and great value, but he, toward the back half of that contract, was severely under his market value. And look, he still played hard, and I don't question his integrity at all, but he could have made a lot more money for what he was, a number 1D offensive power play guy.
Yep.
And he was making in the fours, and he was severely below where he should have been at the end of that. So I think what Luddy said was that's really important, to try to be as fair as you can so that the needle doesn't push one way or the other too much.
Yeah, especially with a guy like Wyatt, who we've mentioned multiple times as a potential captain of this team. Like, it's not someone that, not that there is someone that you're thinking in your head, this guy's not going to be here long after this year or whatever, but you got guys that you as Captain America.
That's Captain America. That doesn't fit, does it?
That's what he said he was American.
Did that ever
remember?
since my sin bin.
I wasn't here that day.
The penalty.
Because I'd have butchered him for that.
No, you were
here.
because
you didn't remember.
You were here the next time when I got penalized.
Remember
and you guys
we talked
got
about soccer?
You got to just
No, I don't
into.
remember us ever talking about soccer.
We made fun of it.
Because I don't even, it goes out of
We
my
got to
mind.
get that clip back up, John,
we'll put it up there.
he
But
remembers saying things that came true later, but he forgets about that.
It is funny what filters into Led's brain. But I think that the key there is to being fair, so that your off ice is also high quality. Your off ice relationship with your team, that's super important. This is not some job you're going into a cubicle every day and hiding from your boss, and it doesn't matter what your relationship is. This is something that they want Wyatt Johnston to be fully happy, have security, feel comfortable, make good money, so he can perform and not think about anything else. On the flip side, Wyatt Johnston, if he wants to be along for the long term, wants the Stars to succeed. He wants the Stars to not be put in a position in maybe 4 years where they're sending guys down every day like we saw the last couple seasons and looking, hey, we really need a defenseman, but we have no money to do it. So it's a very good point, and I think it's important for every franchise to do it, but especially for a team that is wanting to contend now and in the future.